Hi, I'm really happy to be here this morning. My name is Beth Meloy, and I am an early childhood policy and research consultant, actually. And so I work with a number of different folks, a number of different states now, but have been working with California for the last decade on their early childhood education system. And I did my research for getting down to facts with Deborah Stipek at Stanford University. And we really focused on trying to lay out sort of the major accomplishments, of which there have been many during the Newsom administration in early childhood education, and the progress that's been made, and then highlight the challenges that still persist. I will say, I think you'll find and if it's not clear here, you'll find I'll try to mention them, that a lot of the challenges in early childhood education absolutely mirror the challenges in K-12 and TK-12. We have similar challenges as it relates to funding for special populations of students. Early childhood programs in California tend to be reimbursed, or they have what's called a reimbursement rate, the amount that they're paid per student. And they have something called adjustment factors. And our adjustment factors, similar to additional funding for special populations in K-12, are not stackable. We say they're not stackable. That means that if you have a child who is both a multilingual learner and has special needs, you have to choose which additional sort of bucket of money you're going to accept. So which is going to give you more money to serve that child, and then you have to meet all of their needs using that funding. So we have very similar issues, and we have similar issues as it relates to the workforce as well. So I'm going to highlight a few of the accomplishments that we've made, or progress that's been made. So we've seen the early childhood education workforce has notoriously low compensation rates. We have seen some compensation improvements for some sectors of our early childhood workforce, specifically those who are now teaching TK. So the expansion of TK has led to more educators who are serving young children, specifically 4-year-olds, being able to access K-12 parity, access that pay, and access the benefits that come with it. And we've also seen a 37% increase in those reimbursement rates, the amount that programs are paid per child for the California State Preschool Program and what we call general childcare, which is contracted childcare. So a 37% increase rate since 2016, 2017. There is, however, no guarantee that those increases in reimbursement rates then relate to increases in compensation for educators. That's a program by program decision based on all of their sort of whole budget sheet. We have also seen some increased support for educational advancement. There have been grant programs like the Early Educator Teacher Development Grant, EETO. Sorry, alphabet soup, I'm not sure. But it funds tuition and helps create some different pathways like residency and internship programs to help educators obtain credentials. However, in the early childhood field, unless you are transitioning to TK, there is significant research that demonstrates that getting a bachelor's degree does not actually necessarily translate into increased pay. So there's not an automatic sort of salary bump that comes with advancing your education or preparation in the field. We've seen slow progress, but some progress on improving access to benefits for the early childhood education field. TK teachers, as I said, do have access to those K-12 benefits. And we've seen some modest gains for family childcare providers in particular through their unionization and negotiations with the state to provide for some health insurance services and some retirement services, I believe, or retirement funds. And this is less, this next point is less a progress point, but more just a fact that we have maintained, and we need to be thinking about maintaining it as we think about solutions for increasing workforce preparation and compensation, which is the ECE workforce is highly diverse. it tends to very much more mirror the population of students that are being served. So this is a really important factor, I think, when we think about our dual language learners, of which we actually have an even larger proportion of dual language learners in California. The last stat that I saw was nearly 60% of children under the age of 5 are from families that are speaking a language other than English at home and are dual language learners. So our ECE workforce often has those language skills, but they tend to be underpaid. As a result, they have high turnover, and they may not have the preparation in child development or instruction that we'd ideally like them to have alongside those language skills to serve children and communities well. Okay, ongoing challenges. This is a little bit redundant because I can't stay on point, but right, we still have low pay and poor benefits. We know that low pay and poor benefits is leading to shortages, turnover, stress, and mental health problems across our early childhood workforce. Median annual wages in Title 22 centers are much less than half of what TK median annual wages are. CSPP, so our California State Preschool Program teachers, make more when they have a BA, so $58,000, but still significantly lower than TK. This creates some challenges as it relates to tension across the early childhood field. Obviously, I think the access that has been gained through the expansion of transitional kindergarten is an important milestone and accomplishment for the state. However, there is a challenge here where programs serving some of our highest need children and programs that may be serving 3-year-olds as well are competing, if you will, and unable to compete with TK programs because they're unable to pay teachers the same amount or offer the same benefits. So that means they have difficulty attracting and retaining early childhood educators in those non-TK settings. And we've seen widespread staff shortages and high turnover. And actually, even though a lot of the conversation does center around 4-year-olds in TK, the severest shortages are in infant and toddler care. We know as well that ECE professionals experience high rates of poverty, stress, and depression. I wanted to say this specific talking point, but I can't ever remember it. I know it's 47%. So in 2022, 47% of early educator households participated in one or more public safety net program. So the educators that are often staffing the programs we're funding to serve low-income children are themselves having to access programs to support their family income. And we also, I think, really need to improve working conditions. We know that early educators tend to have very little to no time that they are paid for to plan, to conduct assessments, to participate in professional learning, and to have really those resources that they need because they're often working with young children who may present behaviors that they find challenging, right? Those children who may have special needs, who may be living in very high stressed family or community environments, and they are presenting challenges that educators don't know how to address and redirect and support. And it's really causing additional stress and leading to additional turnover among our educators. See, I always think I'm going to be so fast and I'm not. I'm going to probably speed through this a little bit because I know I'm running out of time. But we've also made some important progress as it relates to early educator preparation and support. There are new regulations that were approved in February of 2024 and became effective in April of 2024 around a new PK3 early childhood education specialist instructional credential. I'm I think it's going to be interesting to see how implementation rolls out, but it's a very exciting advancement, I think, in the P3 education sphere for California. We know that very young children do develop differently. They need a different kind of support. And by really having access to a credential and preparation that prepares educators to support those children, I think that's really exciting. We have new performance expectations and assessment. We have increased educational requirements for Title V programs, wherein the new child development permit matrix is going to eliminate the lowest entry level and change lead teacher permits in early childhood to require an associate's degree and 24 units in ECE, as well as supervised teaching experience. That will only be for new educators, and that comes with attention around, again, those staffing shortages and the challenges that programs face. And so while I do believe that additional preparation and support for educators is very important, we have to acknowledge that tension and be prepared to really provide the resources to ensure that we're able to staff our programs with educators who have access to these permits. And then we saw a lot of investment in professional development and teacher support, specifically the UPK planning and implementation grants, and here it is, early educator teacher development grants to support training and professional development. But again, those are one-time funding streams, and they limit district and program ability, county ability to really plan long-term and strategically around addressing these shortages in a way that will be sustainable. Ongoing challenges, low and variable preparation requirements. We have significantly lower preparation requirements, even with these recent changes, than other states. 43 other states require a bachelor's degree for their state-funded preschool programs. 22 require that for their state-funded childcare. We have a lot of contradiction in our regulatory requirements. It's confusing for programs, it's difficult to navigate, and I think there's a movement to address some of that, but we're not there yet. Fragmented and unsustained professional development, I hit on this a little bit already, but professional learning for ECE often relies on short-term grant-based funding that limits sustained job-embedded support. And we also have insufficient leadership and faculty capacity, so we have a shortage of experts in both young child development and subject matter teaching that's needed to staff the new P3 credential programs at a higher education level and provide developmentally appropriate coaching. So it's great that we're making progress, but we need to really plan and strategically invest in the implementation of those new programs.